But the star act tonight, James Hall, all the way from London, yeah?
Bath.
Yeah, from Bath.
Bath.
Yeah, Bath, yeah, I apologise. Yeah.
Or
So
Bath.
CTO, storage, what James doesn't know about storage and trends in the industry, because James, being at the top level at HPE, they will be discussing what goes on, what's going to move, what's happening, yeah? And so that, to me, is the insight. So I've known James for many, many years. So the conversations we have, they're not always dull. Regularly dull, but it's what's going on. It's really important to us because we need to chat to our clients, because you'll be having conversations with Gartner, in meetings with Gartner, people like that, and just it's really, really important for people in the industry, people like yourself, to know what's going on around you. And that's what I think people like us try to bring, because no disrespect to anybody, and I don't mean it in the wrong way at all. Say we deal with 40 major clients, yeah? Everybody skins that cat in a different way. Everyone's got storage, compute, networking, whether it's in the cloud. Cloud's not a mystical thing. It is still storage, networking, with different layers. It's still the same stuff. It's still on hardware. If it's managed service, it's still on hardware.
Yep.
Yeah? It's not a magical thing, the cloud. And so we're all living, and so for us, we want to share our experience with other customers. We won't say who they are unless they say they're referenceable, and then we can mention them, yeah? Otherwise, we just say, other people are doing it this way, other people are doing it that way. Some people at the forefront are spending a load of money, like hedge funds. They spend serious amounts of money.
Stupid
they're out
amounts
there.
of money.
The iGaming industry is agile. People like me direct, they're agile, yeah? And so, but hopefully we can bring that. So someone like James there, who's talking at the C-level within HPE to the CEO of HPE, what's going on, what's going to happen in the next 2 years, what strategy are they going to do? So James, so now I've given you that.
No pressure then.
No pressure at all. So what's going on in the industry? Because we're seeing changes almost daily now.
So there's a lot of unrest, I think, is the first thing. And I certainly think we're certainly predicting this. I think a lot of the other vendors are. I think there'll be a lot of caution around spending money. None of us want to hear that, but I think there's going to be a lot of caution around spending money. And honestly, it drives me mental. If you go, is anyone on LinkedIn? If you go on LinkedIn, every single post is about AI. Right, it's driving me utterly mad because, and I'm going to be brutally honest, no one, hedge funds aside, no one is really doing it well in anger unless you're an institute. So that's the first thing. So by the way, if you're looking at AI and you're going down that road, right? LinkedIn makes out like it's an arms race, and it is, and it will be. But no one is really doing it that fast, and no one's doing it particularly well. And I'm going to go into some context. So that's big trend number one for this year. Just don't believe the hype. We'll come back to that. Big trend number two this year is, and this has actually been marked by an announcement from AWS, I think it was Monday or maybe Friday, and by Google mid-February, is from a public cloud perspective. And I'd be interested to see what it's like here versus in the UK versus in other areas, because they literally fly me all over the place. New York for 5 minutes 4 weeks ago, yes, really. We're seeing a lot of organisations taking applications out of the public cloud. Well, so put the right application in the public cloud for the right reason, okay? And that is a saying that came from a guy who is brutal and tore me to pieces. He runs the co-op, or he's the CTO for the co-op in the UK, so they're a bank and a retailer. And he literally tore me to pieces for about 2 hours, and I work for HPE. But he was right. And actually, I've heard this term, which is from a strategy point of view, and I've heard this now 5 times, and I'm stealing it because it's brilliant, is my strategy is cloud sensible. So there is a lot of organizations looking at going, do you know, we put that in there for the right reason at the right time. COVID is a massive thing, but actually, does it make more sense now to take it out and put it on-prem or put it somewhere else? Because we can drive better economies of scale by doing something different. And a massive testament to this is Google did it first, and I love Google, right? Because they're the big AI people. You don't really run VMs and containers in Google, you kind of run AI, whereas AWS is a bit of everything. But Google announced, it's either mid-January or mid-February, that if you want to leave Google, there are no egress charges. right? You can take all your data out and send it wherever you like, and we will not charge you for it. Bearing in mind, this is the public cloud's biggest moneymaker is in and out, right? That's what they charge you for. Last week, AWS, under scrutiny, and we've got to do it, announce the same thing. If you want to leave us to go back on-prem or to go somewhere else, we won't charge you, but it is all or nothing. So AWS, be very careful. AWS, you can't go, do you know what, I'm just going to take this bit out. They will charge you for that. It's all or nothing. And Google is very similar. Microsoft have not yet responded, but they probably will. So this year is the year of hybrid. And I'm going to go back to the guy at Co-op, and he's on our first clouded video. And if you've not seen the clouded video from Dark Matter, the first one, there's two. The first one I've watched about 10 times, and I learn something new every time. But the Co-op guy is on that, and he's one of the closing statements is, put it in the right place for the right reason. And hearing from, one was a bank, one is a betting company, a really big one. One is an ice cream manufacturer. And the other one, I can't say because it's a government one. But today, when you talk about hybrid, it is a cloud sensible strategy. And sensible means not something new, should I put it here or should I put it there, but sensible means I put it there for the right reason at the right time, and is it still the right place to put it? And that's not me saying that because we want to drive customers back on premise. That is a genuine thing to look at, is put it in the right place for the right reason. So hybrid's big. Right, hybrid's going to be really big. Google and AWS announcing that you can take your data out for free and we don't care. Just read the T's and C's in the small print, because it isn't that straightforward, but that tells the markets something. So think about the strategy point of view. The other big challenge that we're seeing is resources. Like Malta's a small island, there's a lot of very talented people, and I know you all kind of move around, but at the moment, the market is struggling to find resource. That's why professional services companies are doing well. It's why people are kind of contracting people in. This is even bigger in AI. I'm going to come to that annoying thing in a minute. But resources, it's hard at the moment. Finding the right people to do the right things at the right price is difficult. So we're seeing a lot of our customers that would traditionally never have come to us for outsourcing or out-tasking, which is kind of a popular thing at the moment.
What's out-tasking?
Out-tasking is, we do managed services in HPE. We used to call it Green Lake Managed Services. I know Green Lake, don't shoot me down, don't shoot me down. But now it's HP Storages, or HP Services. We have I call it a RACI, but some people call it a RACI. We have almost like a menu, and we have customers going, I want you to do this, 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 and this. A bit like the conversation we had yesterday about a customer here. That's becoming very popular as well. And some people just want to offload the tasks that they just don't have the time to do, because they want people in this room that are far more valuable doing far more valuable stuff. So big thing this year is resource. And organizations that have typically never gone to a partner to, for want of a better term, body shop, is becoming more and more popular, because getting resource and finding people that want to come and work full-time and not contract is hard, right? Especially in London. If you were a contractor in London 5 years ago, you were probably panicking that your life was going to end and you were never going to get work. Today in London, you can literally write your paycheck. Because people don't want permanent staff per se, that's one kind of thing that you see, but resource is hard to find. And people don't want to be permanent because they can contract to make more money. So that kind of drive for if you need something, and that can be project-based, it can be full-time, whatever it might be, is another big trend that we're seeing. So number one, repatriation out of the public cloud. There's a big retailer in the UK where every little helps, we'll give you a clue, has just taken an awful lot of petabytes out of AWS for their Splunk environment and put it on premise, and they will slash their public cloud cost for that one application by about 80%. Now, it made sense to do it at the time, so they're coming out. So repatriation, put it in the right place for the right reasons. Resource, it's hard to come by. Some people don't want to be full-time employees, some people want to contract. There are solutions to help you around those. And now on to AI.
Can I just go on to resource?
Yes.
One of the terms that I've just become familiar with is resource strategy. And I think that is stronger in Malta than in London.
I'd agree.
Yeah, because the pool of talent in Malta is smaller. Malta's smaller, but you've got a lot of really big companies through gaming and finance, etc. Resource strategy is where the resource dictates the strategy. We see this a lot. It used to be in the UK, but it's not now. But so the resource strategy is over here, where the resource is almost forcing the strategy because they're saying, we want to be this. This is what we want to know about, yeah? And so it's forcing the C-level to say, okay, we're going to go that direction. Just be really careful. It is not the resource, it's the business that really should be dictating strategy, not the resource. And we are seeing that, not so much in the UK, because there's a lot more resource available. Over here, I see it with my customers. You know, and we deal with a lot of the big customers, as you can see here. But it's that resource strategy is something you've got to be really careful of as senior members of management. Don't let your staff dictate which way you're going to go technology. I mean, in the UK, that's why it's totally different, I think, in the UK than in Malta. Not totally. You know, UK, you're seeing droves coming out of the public cloud. Yep. That's the way it's going for cost reasons, especially the on-demand public cloud, because it's so expensive. Yeah. And people getting a push, and everywhere we see. I've had 8 appointments yesterday. 6 of them said the major thing we're doing this year is trying to reduce cost. Yeah. And everyone's going about VMware, and nothing we can do about VMware. Yeah. You can all be upset about it. If a train's late and you're sitting on it, or a plane, because you don't have trains over here yet, plane's late, nothing you can do about it, nothing you can't get frustrated about. Yes, and it is what it is. Moving out of VMware, cool, that's a challenge. That's a challenge. You can be emotionally upset, and I get that, but you've got to think about it. That's going to be a challenge, but no one knows what's going on. So HPE, the biggest seller of VMware in the world.
We are the biggest partner, bigger than Dell.
Do not know what's going on. Yeah? The partners, we're a VMware partner, we don't know what's going on. So I can assure you, you don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. People who work for VMware do not know what's going on. So you can ask the questions at the moment, but I don't think anyone's going to give you real good answers yet. Now we spend probably half of our time. I mean, I feel sorry for JK and Lewis over there. They spend half of their time just talking VMware, trying to find out what's going on. No one knows. No one really knows, do they?
Don't panic. I know you want to. Don't panic, because it is not going to. You're boiling the ocean today is not going to change the fact that moving out of a product that has 91% market share. So, by the way, actually, an interesting one. Hyper-V went into support life January. Funnily enough, it's kind of like it's ebbed a little bit with HCI or Azure HCI stack on premise. But if you look at our install base there, we have 197,000 arrays dialing home. That's across the Nimble and 3-PAR install base. It's 197,000. Less than 1,000 of those run Hyper-V. The rest is all VMware. Right, so that's a global problem for VMware. There's no easy answer. There's some stuff coming. By the way, if you're a real techie and a nerd like me, KubeVirt. Go and have a look at KubeVirt. It's an open source project. It's being tested at 2 massive American banks at the moment, and it's on like version 1.2 of open source, which is some going. But there is no easy answer out of the VMware thing. What I will say is start to look at right sizing your compute. Get the right core count. Buying big and buying 16 cores. 16 cores,
because even if you have 8 cores, you could be charged for 16.
I know, but you see, I mean, today, so I can tell you the biggest customer that I know of in the UK, they have 6,500 servers from HPE running vSAN ready nodes. Their vSAN ready nodes, 6,500 servers, just to put it into context, in Europe. And they are all pretty much dual socket 64 core boxes. Their ELA runs out in like 14 months. You can imagine the panic, right? So there's nothing you can do immediately, but it is worth starting to. There's 2 things you can look at, right? Do I transform virtual machines into containers and go to bare metal? And how quickly can I do it? That's a big thing at the moment, so a lot of people are looking at, but it's not possible for everything. KubeVirt is a open source project that is definitely like all of a sudden like growing in terms of momentum.
But you've got resource strategy. We're talking resource.
Well, you need resources.
Everyone knows
VMware.
Everyone knows VMware. Who knows Hyper-V? So
who knows KVM?
you've got 91% of the market. If your staff all know VMware, you're going to move off it. You're brave if you do. It's going to cost you more, but it's a big, big challenge.
Just also be careful. Make no mistake. AWS and Microsoft, even though you can run VMware on both of those two cloud vendors are like, oh, here comes the steam train of people getting off of VMware on-premise to get into the public cloud. It's not necessarily going to save you money. So that is one of the tracks that I'm seeing customers look at is, that's okay, I'll just lift and shift faster. I'm not saying it's not the answer, but if you don't do it correctly and you don't right size correctly and you don't pick your cloud vendor correctly for the right type of workload, you will end up spending as much money or more money. And then just operating two environments at the same time. On the AI front, honestly, has anyone seen the stock price, by the way, of NVIDIA? I mean, oh my days. A friend of mine works at Commvault. He bought stock at like this, and he was showing me his portfolio, and I was like, you bastard. It's huge. Today, for AI, and I'm pretty sure there's probably stuff going on, one of the big betting firms, they're trying to build this kind of immersive experience. Peel it right back. And the first thing I'll say is before you go and spend a load of money on GPUs or AMD, chipsets, because dare I say it, they're more cost effective and faster than Intel. They are and they aren't. If you do not get your data into a central location and you do not trust your data, the insight that you drive from your data will be totally worthless. And you would have spent a whole ton of money getting a whole ton of outcomes that mean absolutely nothing.
What do you mean by that?
So at the moment, we have every AI project I've seen, and we're going across all industries, right? They are pulling in, they've got silos of data everywhere. Some on block storage, some on file storage, some on just direct attached disk, some on someone's laptop. Trying to analyze all of that to get an outcome is just ridiculous. You kill your network, Arista. You were talking about 400 gig networking, 100 gig networking. That's great if you can do that. Not a lot of people have that. So you're trying to do all of this work across networks and killing your network, which then kills your user productivity. But if you don't trust the data, i.e. the data, because and we have this, I'm not going to say it because there's another HP person in the room, CRM systems, crap in, crap out. Right? So if people are putting in rubbish data, then the data that you're analyzing to try and drive insights from means nothing. So if you don't trust the data and run analytics, I'm going to call it analytics, right? Because analytics is the old school AI. If your data is not trusted or your data is full of rubbish, the insight that you drive could potentially be rubbish and you could make a business decision that is fatal. I'm telling you now, we have seen this right across Europe with some of the biggest organizations where they do not, cleanse is the wrong word, but understand the context of the data and work out if the context of the data is accurate. They just go, load of data, ask questions, or run modeling, run inferencing. Oh, there's an outcome, go do something. If the data that you're inferencing and modeling on is users spuriously filling in pipeline reports and stuff like whatever it might be, then the output of that is going to be absolutely useless. So there's this massive AI race, and everyone's buying. I mean, you can't get a GPU. I don't know what the lead time is on GPUs, but it's insane, right? And they're insanely expensive. And you've got them sitting there running at 40%, 20% utilization, burning tons of power. So sustainability is the next big thing for this year. But if the data that you are building your machine learning and models around is not clean and not trusted, then the outcome cannot be trusted. And that is probably the biggest thing in here is, because I'm betting you, who's got an AI project on the go? Don't be shy. Right, everyone has. Everyone has. We do it internally, right? We have this internal system that looks at, stuff that we've sold in different geos and what we think should be the right discount and the right price, which is great, but it relies on people putting those stuff into the Salesforce and stuff like that. And when they change dramatically because we start here and we go somewhere else, the outcome of that is, you should be able to sell this server at this price in that market. You're like, everyone else is 50% cheaper. That's a good example of not trusting the data and crap in, crap out. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking at AI, before you spend a ton of money on compute, by the way, if you want to, that's fine. We'll take that order.
Happy with that?
Happy with that. And GPUs. but you have to go and look at the data, understand the data, and work out whether you trust the data. And until you've done those things, those three things, then whatever you drive, whatever insight, because AI is not about modeling and deep learning, it is about a business outcome and an insight. And you can't get that if your data is rubbish, or you don't trust your data.
Yep.
If you make a bad decision, because on bad data, it can cost, it can be your entire company gone.
Yeah.
It could be for us. Right?
With AI, my big issue with AI is actually our democracies are all dead almost. There will never be an election again in this world, I don't think, that will be free and fair.
Agreed.
With AI now.
100% agreed.
You know what's going on in the States now. Donald Trump's coming out. He's coming out of his cavalcade, and you can see, and he's sitting in the front with a black family and all that. It's not true. Yeah, but people believe it. So we will never have a free and fair election. So it's a real concern, And I'm not saying I agree with dictatorship. It's not great, I don't think, but we've got a real challenge coming on. So I'm going to give you the AI, I think it's really frightening.
I'm going to give you one more.
Yeah.
So ransomware, oh my God, honestly, ransomware 2 years ago on LinkedIn was as bad as AI is today. Cyber resilience, that's the new term, it's the new exciting term. Ransomware is still a problem. The new threat, and I don't know if anyone knows this, the new threat, we work with a company, we sell a company actually into the FBI, CIA and some places in Europe called Racktop Systems. So if anyone's not heard of Racktop Systems, they were born out of the NSA. The new threat is getting into your environment. And this is just, there's a really public, I think it's on the register, which is the National Library. So they got struck by both ransomware is going in and locking data, right? But most of us have got used to that. You know, we can detect, things that are being encrypted as they're happening, anomaly detection, so they just slow it down so we can't detect it. The new thing is someone getting in and siphoning your data out and selling it back to you. And for the National Library, I think on the register, that's 600 gig of data. They siphoned out, so they encrypted a load of stuff, but they siphoned out 600 gig. And you're talking about the National Library in the UK, right? That 600 gig is nothing, but that 600 gig that they siphoned out was enough to cripple pretty much every system that they used. So they're like, yeah, we don't care about what we've encrypted on premise, we'll unblock that, but this 600 gig, if you want this back, that's like this amount of money. So the new resiliency or the new cyber threat coming in is, I'm going to encrypt some of your data on premise to make it really painful for you, but actually what I'm going to do is steal the really important stuff, and I'll release that when you pay for this stuff, and I'm going to give it back to you. So when you're looking at cyber resilience today, it's not, you've got to protect your perimeter, right? My wife over there used to work for Checkpoint. She's going to slay me for some of my bad terminology. You've got to look for how they're going to get data out, because that is the new threat.